Conversations with God for Teens, Chapter 1. Finally, answers. Suppose you could ask God any question you wanted. Questions like, why can't my parents stay in love and stay married? Why should they? Why should they for your sake? I understood my mom. Why can't you? So why can't they be miserable for your sake? They are just being humans. You understand? They cannot sacrifice for you more than they did. How do you decide who gets to be Alanis Morissette or Michael Jordan? And who gets to live regular lives? Or why can't I just have XX and have it be okay with everybody? What's the big deal? Well, many of them does everywhere, not just in the West, but everywhere else. And I suppose you receive any responses to your questions. Responses like your parents can stay in love and stay married, but it would require a shift in the things they believe for them to do so. And why should they? When they don't like any more the face of another face, they don't feel any more attraction to that person, not in the soul level or much less the physical level. Why should I be attracted to an ugly man older than I for, or a man be attracted to an older woman than he is within the marriage, and a woman who doesn't attract him emotionally wise? And the same thing goes for the woman, an old man, discussing always. So why must she stay together just to please the older sons and daughters or whatever? My parents divorced when I was about, not divorced, separate, when I was only 5 years old. And that was okay for me. I did well after that. I was still very happy. And I would visit my father, who had already remarried and have three children with another woman. And my mother didn't have nobody. She decided to raise us without bringing in new lover or whatever, or male inside the house or whatever. No husband. So, I was okay with it. My mother would take us the weekend. She called my sisters who were older than I was 7. That was 3 years after they divorced, I guess. 3 years or 2 years. Something in this sense when my mother started to, all when the anger come out, all she decided to forgive him, and I visited him and his family. And I sent the eyes to go there and see him. Okay. So she would go not because she have designs on him, but because she wants to also want to discuss the selling of the house, that were the marital home that she helped to build with him. And then she had all right because she now had uh, three, two small kids, um, primary or primary school going kids. Oh yeah, primary school going kids. Two, me and my brother, and other sisters were already in upper grade 7 and 8. Okay, and I have more, um, one young adult son, boy, and two teenager, one girl and one boy. The rest have married and out of the house, get off the house. So my mother was still struggling to put food on the table, to pay for school material, okay, public transport, etc., in basic bills. And she needed the money. She needed, and she had all the right in the world to claim half of the house that she helped to build for him, because she helped to build with her own money as well. And the old man want to take all for himself and put another woman inside. So much is it? And my mother wanted a stupid fool, idiot woman, so she went there fight for her rights. So I would go to see him I just see because we have the practice of kissing hand, all that of the parents, and then I just kiss his hand. That's all. But I am very detached to him because now I see that he have three other children, and I'm not interested in all of them or in him. I just want to grab on my mother's skirt and do one thing to do with him. I was okay. So what's the problem? Huh? Because I have been always detached from my father and always very close to my mom. I was a mama girl. So your parents can stay in love and stay married, but it would require shift in the things they believe for them to do so. It can also be very okay. You can also be very okay and live a happy life if your parents do not stay together. Correct, like me. But that would require shift in the things you believe. Yeah, don't think about yourself only. Stop pity yourself. Oh, because I need a daddy in my life. All the misogynist thinking. So little girls. I do not decide who gets to be Hellenism or deceit and who gets to live regular lives. You do. You are making those choices right now. The problem is you don't know that you are doing it or how. You can have as much XX as you want every day of your life, and it will be very okay for everybody. But first, you must understand what XX is, what the relationship mess around is, or promiscuity, and that may not be what you think. Would you want to hear more? You are about to. This book contains questions like that from teenagers all over the world. The responses you will find here have been placed here for your considerations only. This book no has not come here to give you the answers. The last thing you need is someone else giving you the answers. The hope is that this book will place you in touch with your own answers. When you are in touch with your own answers, the hopelessness that you may sometimes feel inside can be ended. This book is the result of a conversation with God. Okay, okay. So you don't even know if there is a God, much less whether you can have a conversation, right? Don't worry about that right now. If you don't believe in God, consider this book a work of fiction. I want mine is still be a good read. Yeah, I think they should think as a work of fiction. Maybe the best book you ever read. Yeah, that will be better. I don't think that God exists. I do believe that that God communicates with us. This is the outer talking. I do think that oh, sorry. I do think that God exists, and I do believe that God communicates with us. Yeah, he is a fanatic, so what he believes happens in this context. I have conversation with God all the time. How this conversation, how this conversation take place will be explained in just a few pages. For now, please consider the possibility that this book, once brought into your life, to change your life, if you choose for it to, and to change the life of the world around you, if that's also what you desire. And don't think for a minute that it came to you by accident. You call this book to you. I think that this is a kind of a, mental manipulation, something like that. It's a psychological manipulation when he says that. Anyways, this book, I believe that it's not just for kids, for their teenagers, but also for their parents. Okay, if you happen to have teenagers, regardless of your age group, because when I had my teenagers when they were teenagers, I was 29, yeah, 29, very young mother considered. And as they grew old and their teenagers years, I was on my 30s, 32, 33, 35, something. So I was very young, you see, very young teenager mother. So how you treat your teenager um, will depend also on your age group. I mean, if you are too far away, generations is too far apart, then you're gonna have more, I think, conflict in the relationship because of the generation gap. However, my mother had me when she was 39 year old. Okay, she was 39, almost 40s, because I was the number 10 child. She had a lot of children, poor thing. And this time she was born in the 20s, which a long time ago. It was there's no much birth the contraceptives, family planning was not very often used at those times, and they did nothing but, you know, the men, especially so, did nothing but make children on the women, their wives. So I was the last. My mother had me at age 39. So our generation is a bit wild, you see. But I tried to understand my mother because my mentality was too far ahead of me. So I tried to communicate and be a friend to my mother. Not very, very close friend. We didn't discuss about no relationship, men to woman, because I was too shy to ask about this thing. My mother too was too shy because of the generation gap. Because she was from the 20s, you understand? And I was too shy to even bring in a boyfriend home and a show to her because I was very shy. So there were this generation gap, okay? But I try to understand my mother and other point of views. To me, she was a very wonderful mom, and I didn't need, I just had to be grateful towards her. That's not what I thought, and I respect her, and that I did. So you call this book to you because you live in an insane world and you want to change it. Somewhere inside, somewhere deep inside, you know how life could be. You know that we are not supposed to be hurting each other here. You know that no one has the right to see it all, to seek it all. Why not? To take it all, to hold in it all. Yeah, that's correct. Don't hold, don't take. Seek, okay, but don't take it all. Seek, okay, because you say here, no one has the right to seek it all. Why not? We can seek it, but you cannot take it all for us because this is a aberration of nature. Why should a monster take all for themselves? To take it all, to hold it all, while others have so little. Correct. You must impart and share. That was my mode of life, impart and share. You know that might is not right. You know that the truth is what matters. And openness and transparency and fairness, not hidden agendas and under the table dealings and behind the scenes maneuverings and getting the advantage correct. You know that when you get the advantage at the expense of someone else, being disadvantaged, there's no advantage in there at all. Yeah, correct. I see a lot of these people around. You know this and you know more. You know that so much of the stuff they teach in school is pointless. Where are the classes in sharing power, comparative living, accepting differences and celebrating diversity, shameless sexuality, understanding unconditional love? Correct. Where are the courses in sustainable living, responsible economics, and collective consciousness? Where are the courses that are relevant? Cannot reading, writing, and arithmetics be taught through relevant courses rather than instead of them. Mhm. This man is he's very wise and intelligent. Of course they can, and you know they can. You know this, and you know more. You know that the political systems on this planet suck, correct? They don't work, correct? Again, we can't even elect a president and have every vote count. We can't even find a way to have the election process work, much less the process of politics after the election. Correct. It's all over the world a geopolitical problem issue, and not only a local one, a national one. You know this, and you know more. You know that hypocrisy reigns supreme in the lives of too many people. Not all people, but too many people. Correct. Inside the house is a monster. Outside there you wear masks. That's why the world is not full of filthy faces of people, but filthy masks. Outside there they have a mask. Inside the house they have another. Inside the workplace they have yet another. Too much multiplicity in behavior and attitude we have here. So not all people, but too many people. Yeah, the majority I would say they wear faces. They wear masks. They don't show their faces. They wear masks, even without pandemics, without a mask. They say one thing and do another, and they think you don't see it. They think you're not watching, or that you are not smart enough to know that what you are looking at, pure and simple, is hypocrisy. You know this, and you know more. You know what is rewarded in this society and what is not. And that in this we have it all backward. You know that we pay $30 million for someone to play fourth base for the New York Yankees, and $30,000 for someone to nurse our sick, or teach our children, or minister to our disheartened, and to our minister to our disheartened, and that this is grace. You know this, and you know more. You know that you live in a society which keeps trying to use the energy which created a problem to solve the problem, which uses killing to stop people from killing, which uses violence to put an end to violence, which uses injustice in the name of justice, inequality in the name of equality, intolerance in the name of tolerance, wars in the name of peace, and sanity in the search for a sane tomorrow. What is wrong with this picture, you ask? And you know what's wrong. You don't need anyone to tell you. You only want someone to do something about it. You only want someone to be able to do something about it, because until now it's all look at it pretty hopeless. And why has it looked so hopeless? Basically because everyone's lying about it. No one wants to tell it like it really is. Well, all that's going to change right here, right now, with this book. Yeah, okay. And so this guy is he's older. I think he's 70. I don't know. I'm not sure, but he's much older than I. And he was a Virgo born of September like me. And well, we are hatred, but we want to change the world. Okay, it's not easy. It's not easy, but at least better to try than not try at all, and just be in ambulant and a metamorphosis, a kind of a cocoon that's still to is still in the process of become a beautiful butterfly and takes flight and fly. Okay, takes wings and fly. It's better to be like that than just be a, you know, a perpetual larvae or into the process of metamorphosis, right? So he's also indigo. I also am indigo. So what I'm trying to say here is that we don't need to be a teenager to be wise, you know, and few teenagers are into this path, but there's a lot. I believe there's a lot, and there's room for more to come in. There's room for more to come in and enjoy this path. Depending, going to depend on your personality, your zodiac sign, your natal chart, or your configuration altogether, your best configuration. All right. Those who have number seven, past number seven like me, I think this guy also has number seven, and I'm born on the number nine of the month of the year. They are different. They kind of, very inspirational. They have dreams. That's difficult to put into practice, but at least they try. They don't keep quiet, okay? Because they don't like just to see. They don't like wrongs. They like to make the wrongs right and not otherwise. And we are indigo. How we are indigo? Because we want a better world. Because we want to recycle. I recycle since I was a 7-year-old kid. I bring in a stray home since I was a 7-year-old kid because I love animals. I have a very great, big love in my heart for the animals and the downtrodden in society, the poor, etc. Okay, the children, the orphans. Okay, the women who are abused, the men who are enslaved in the workplace, the family men also, who also needs respect and needs address, need to be looked up and then be respected and maybe be treated well. All those poor people who works like a slave, long hours and little pay. All right, this is what I'm our spoken person for. Okay, all this downtrodden, they call the underdogs in society. That's why people like us, weak people, they go through a lot in life, a lot, because they have a very big mission here. And some will just say, oh, but there is some indigos who are not correct. Hello, you don't have to be 100% perfect. But sometimes, as I always say, if you want to reform your house, you first need to make a mess out of it. And that's what you don't understand. I'm telling this to a particular person who's not very smart, a Scorpio man from the North Africa. Okay? Scorpio Libra. I know because I find out who his channel is, although he didn't show, he can be millions and millions and millions of fake votes, stolen votes of other people, and billions of fake nicks. But I know who this person is. So he talks silly thing about, not silly, judgmental things about indigo people. But he don't understand that the indigo people is not perfect, but they at least they want a better world. They want to recycle. They don't want to stage. They don't want to cut down that plant, that tree for nothing. They don't want that animal to be bastarded for nothing. You understand? Bastarded for nothing or even abused at home, placed in jails in placed inside a cage, not jail. Jail is bigger, ample. It's a cage. Placed in a cage. It's very cruel to do this to the animals. There's so many empathy house and many animals are on the street today getting skin disease, hungry, thirsty. And then we need to care. I need to make our more homes to care for all these animals and all the people who needs and the street people, the homeless. And that's why the indigo people comes. Indigo is not just a modern uh, wave or wave of you know event or people, soul that's coming. Indigos are very old since the turn of this of the 20th centuries. We have had indigos come in. Okay, Edgar Cayce was in indigo, Tesla was indigo, and many others were in indigo. All right, so it doesn't matter what decades they were born into. Indigos have been here first, then Blu-ray or Crystal Kids or many others. Okay, so You don't need to wait until you reach my age to do something. You must do something way in your country if you can, and at any age. Okay, you don't need to wait until you become 40s or whatever, or 30s to do the work that the earth so much need. This is for the ecobiome system, the ecosystem, our environment, our body of waters, our soil, which has been depleted by too much bombardment of, chemical, um, cultural, agricultural, cultural toxics um, placed into the soil to give us better, shiner crop in a shorter time, span of time, um, which depletes the soil, the ionosphere in the soil, understand? And then now they are having what? They are have artificial ways of planting. First they have agro, aqua, aquaculture, something like that. I forgot, hydroponic, something like that. That they plant the vegetables into water. Okay, but the water has mineral, but if it doesn't have enough, like the soil has, then how? There will be no nutrients. Nowadays, they are hanging the plant somewhere inside a, a darky room. What's that? There's no nutrients. And then they will apply the artificial nutrients into this plant. And then you put in, there's no benefit at all, no more nutrients for your body. Because in my time, we do this on the soil, from the soil, organic. And our way of fertilize it was not through chemical. My mother put goats and chicken pieces in a eggshell. That's what I do as well. Eggshell and organic compost, soil compost for the plants to grow, and eggshells, which contains a lot of nutrients for the plants, for the soil, which feeds the root and the trunk and the stem and the stems and the leaves of the plant, right? But now the Luciferian New Age are doing stupid things. They think they're so smart and they aren't smart. They're stupid. Soon enough, people lack nutrients like thiamine, like that important folic acid, iron, vitamin C, and many other nutrients. Vitamin C is not from the soil, of course. It's from, you can get from the leaves of the fruit, but the others is from the soil. Everything that you eat is from the soil. All the nutrient, the mineral, potassium, everything is from the soil. If that soil is not naturally rich in all those minerals, then your nutrition will suffer. And I know this is a boring commentary, I understand, but I mean, when I was young, at least 16-year-old, I'm already interested in all these topics. But I am myself, I'm different. I'm nobody else. And that's what the indigos are all about. Okay. Oh my, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I have to hold my back in order to move. It's very painful, the one. Conversations with God, 14th chapter 2. Truth time. You tell the truth. That's what's cool about you. I mean, you don't go around trying to kid yourself and trying to fool everybody else. You just are. And that's what it is. And if others don't like it, well, then that's what that is. And You are not going to change yourself because of something like that, right? Okay, that means you are ready because people who tell the truth are usually ready to hear the truth. That's good because we are going to do something really interesting here. We are going to have a conversation with God between parentheses. But if you are not ready, it won't work. Oh, the conversation part will work because you can't stop that. All of us are having conversations with God every minute of every day. What won't work is your ability to get it. You'll read it, but you won't get it. It's like a lot of things in life. You've got to be ready. Right now, most of the world is stuck. It's been stuck for half a century. Only that, 50-year-old ideas. Only that, half century old ways of doing things. Only that. That's what you see out there right now. A lot. They're not it. The people who live and breathe these ideas, I mean, the people who swear by them, they are not ready. Not for change. They're not for the answers that would create a change. Not most of them, anyway. Most of them aren't ready. I think you are, so let me explain what's going on here. I wrote a book called Conversations with God because I wanted to know why my life wasn't working. Why it always seemed to have to be such a continuing struggle. What the rules were and how I could play and not lose all the time. I also wanted to know the point of it all. At least you are a normal person because you don't accept the things at face value alone. You dare to question, not some others who just take things at face value alone and conventional way, and they don't question. They are compliant all the time, even if it's wrong, never mind, as long as those who set the rules are very powerful for them. So they are just the devil's advocate, and they are very compliant, very, very common, ordinary beings. What resulted from that call for help on the dialogue together that I had in my mind and placed on paper? Other people found value in it, and it wound up being translated into 27 languages. My questions continued and more books followed. Then someone asked, "Why don't you do a book for teenagers?" And I said, "Because I wouldn't know what to ask about." And they replied, "Why not let them tell you?" That's when I started asking teenagers in person and through the internet. If you could ask God any question, what would it be? I reviewed the hundreds of replies. Here are some of them. Why do you let children get abused sexually and physically? How come everyone wants to be born smart? Why is the world filled with hate? What's the deal with the generation gap? Why can't our parents just talk with us? Some will do, but are you ready? Because you are too busy with your own fantastic world and your own generation gap to even pay heed to your parents because you think that they are square, they are not cool enough, or they are not modern enough. So there's this gap, the generation gap. And why is there so much pressure from parents, from school, from everyone? Is my life controlled by fate? Why are we taught facts and not ideas in school? Will I learn? I return to you, and will you be happy to me? How come I have to pay adult ticket prices at the movies when I'm 13, but I can't see an R movie? That's stupid. Why do we have to have 3 hours of homework after 7 hours of school? I'm confused and scared about what to make of my newly found sexual identity. How can I present that to the people I love? How come people make such dumb laws? If you made eyes, then who made you? The cosmos? How is that a god of mercy can be such an isolationist and so intolerant to other views? How can a God of infinite mercy condemn anyone for anything? Why condemn magic, then heals? Why condemn for eternity those transgressions that are momentary? Why is that my parents notice only the things that I do wrong? How come adults want respect but don't give it back? I did. Why do people die? Why can't we live forever? What really is life after death? Why is it that I can die for my country at 18, but I can't enjoy a cold beer on a hot day? Exactly. Hypocrite, is it? Very, very hypocrite. I feel as if I need to be successful at every. I feel as if I need to be successful at everything. My parents seem to desperately want that. But what is success? I don't know whether to hang with the popular preppy kids or the cast off grungy kids. Why does everyone have to separate? Exactly. Why do my parents freak out about sex? My God, they freak out. Now, answer those great questions. They are all they will all be addressed here, as it will many others that were asked. Questions about dealing with authority, about choosing the right career, about drugs, about marrying or living together, about how the experiences of our lives are created, and even about God, what God's looks like. Let's get to one of those questions now so you can see how the process plays out. And then I want to explain to you how my method of receiving the responses works. This question was given to me by a young woman named Varinia. Why do you let children get abused sexually and physically? Varinia, my lovely, lovely friend, I know that you wish deeply in your soul that cruelty of all kinds could be eliminated from the earth. So many people wish that, and so many are working for that. There is so much sexual abuse in the world because there is so much sexual repression in the world. I don't buy that. That's pure cruelty. Only because the world repress that psychopath, that maniac psychopath out there who abuses children or even animals. Blame the world. Oh, poor thing. Now you just caress his head for that, hey? But other things, no, it's your fault. If you are sick, if you have a bacteria eating your flesh, oh, you are not in pain. You are making it all up. But then when it comes to, to maniacs, psychopaths like that, totally sick people, this entire, this Luciferian kind of giving excuse. You see how he excuses them. Humans have been taught from the time they were very young to be ashamed of their body parts and embarrassed or guilty about their sexuality. The result is that millions of people have sexual hang-ups. You wouldn't believe. I don't believe that. Even in contrast, modern countries, okay, where sexuality is an anarchy and a very free. we still see a lot of sexual related abuses towards minors and towards children at home. Okay, even in this cosmopolitan, modern, sex-free society where there's a lot of sex workers, there are escort girls. Okay, you can pay them to to have fun, and you have girlfriends or freewheeling club girls, and still at home some children are being abused. It's about satanism. I wouldn't say it's a devilish. These are kind of beings that are so primitive. They are so selfish and primitive that stupidity and primitiveness comes together into one. These are evil instinct. Do you understand? Evil instinct. I want to say it's about being human, but it's about being kind, about being Luciferian. So that is how the million of people have sexual. I don't think that you have sexual hang up, might be you. And later in this conversation, we'll talk about how you can help change all that. When you cut their thing there, their wee, then you can change that. And how you can deal with whatever hang-ups the people around you may have. That's nonsense. No such thing as hang-ups. No sense in hang-up. Even if everybody's to have, you know, to mess around on the street for everybody to see. And they still do. They do in cars, they do in the beach when nobody's seen at night. So what's the big deal about it? But still there are the maniacs because something that's prohibited for them tastes better because something prohibited like incest, like all kind of sexually transgression behavior, and perverted thought these people has, like incest, zoophilia, pedophilia. These are all satanic behavior, devilish behavior. Okay, Luciferian behavior to be precise, because Satan here would be in Leo. I don't think that in Leo would permit it. He's more like Luciferian, which is the Enkai, the Ye, right? His half brother, the dark sheep of the family. Later in this conversation, the result is millions of people have sex nonsense. Later in this conversation, we talk about how you can help change all that and how you can. Oh, how the way he says here change is for everybody to have free sex and be promiscuous. This is his formula, his recipe for eradicate this evil in society, but still it doesn't. You see, it doesn't. There's so many promiscuous women out there, women willing to have fun with a man, and still they go for children and minor. They abuse them because they are coward psychopaths, coward, and they are also how they are not quite man. You know what I mean? The hands like that. This kind of men is not true men. They also like to he's like a razor. He cuts both sides. Because a true male will never do this to a minor, neither to a child, neither to one of his family member, and much less bully and abuse the animals. That's sick, very sick and pew. I hate this class. So later in this conversation, talk about how you grow and how you can deal with whatever hangups the people around you may have. But you did not ask me why there was sexual and physical abuse. And why she should ask? What she should ask? You should know what welcome to the same. There are because there are Satanism around, Luciferianism around in the world. You ask me why I allowed it, and I mean where that there's an entirely different question. Yes, it is. So why do you allow it? said, why do you allow? You're so the mighty God, on that you are not a God, you're just an alien. When I created the life as you need, you create what? I stop being so boastful about yourself. I did so by simply separating myself with the countless smaller parts of me. Now he's pretending to be the cosmos. Now he's talking about the cosmos, not about himself, because the cosmos by itself wouldn't say that. Alright? This is a being, an alien being, a Nuneki for the matter, and he is playing cosmos now. Now he became the cosmos. In truth, all of us are, but that's something else. The consciency energy, and also the body also makes part of the cosmos. Of course, everything that is makes part of the cosmos, even the gods that you worship. So this is another way of saying that you were made in the image and likeness of God. Or I would say Adonaki and Kaya, and Ahisisa and Kai. Now, because God is the creator, that means that all of you are creators too. You are, why you say that? Simply because you know why we are creator, because we are part of the cosmos, just as they are. So you may ask, but why they are so powerful and we aren't? Because our power has been stripped from us. And he lies that we have original power. What's an original power? When most of our DNA capable of being very powerful was cut off and are limited. What's the original power when you are so limited to even most of the time to heal ourselves, right? So no, he took the power, stripped the power from us so that he and his sister and his whole family would better uh, manipulate and you know, control us, the species in here. But in Leo, his brother didn't allow that. When I see these two brothers, it reminds me of Williams and the two princes there and Harry. And I see Enkaya as William and uh, Harry as in Leo because he wants something different. You know, he wants to change things that he sees that's not correct. He's a hypocrite. So now, because God is the creator, that means all of you are creators, of course, and you know it, right? You know. Why don't tell the truth? Why we are creators? Because we also make part of the cosmos. Um, the pieces that we are, the atoms pieces, are made from the cosmos, not yours. You have free will, just as I have free will. If I had not given you free will, you could not create bluff. There was free will here. But what you did was create a species with free will so that you better could control them and shift your karma into them. Like, okay, they have some issues because these beings are here for millions of years making problem out of the cosmos. So what happened is that they created this species here. I say they manipulated the already existent here. They manipulate and add in their chromosomes or no, their chromosomes. I don't know even if these beings have mitochondria or if they come from a hatch, a electronic hatch. So they mix up the essential, say essential, and then mix up with the beings here, and then so that will be part of them. Understand? So they will best control. In those, they take a piece of ice and they spread it outward in other planets to create lives in other planets from the seeds that the earth created. Shama, the former Orion Queen, creation. So it's all about mitochondrial XX. Okay, that's what the earth primarily were. So Shama was one of the primordial, one of the, but it was not the first, but one of the. So obviously So at least the females group, all that has female energy has the XX uh, factor. I would say XX, but it's just a way of a human say, but doesn't. In the other side, there's no such thing as XX, XY, etc. This one's created here. But let's say that the mitochondria is more towards the female species and come from Shama. The males invited more in Lyle, not in Lyle, in Kaya, yeah, and his sister. Mitochondria from the non-X mitochondria and in Kaya, yeah, chromosomes, which is X and Y. Okay, XY for the males. Because females don't or at the Orion only could they produce females. It couldn't produce males until those serious Anunnakis came in and contributed with their uh, haplogroup, whatever, uh, chromosomes XY. Always must have a female. Let's say the girls follows more the mother follows exactly the mother mitochondria. The boys are the girls, the mother and the father. But the girls are it is totally only the mother is only intrinsically the mother side. So that's why when you are made to be subservient, obedience is not creation. So what he did here, he give the free will so that they will put their karma here, okay, and then he bring his legions to tempt the people, sending in vibration, evil vibration to commit snip, shooting at school, shoot one another, commit a terrible heinous crime like killing your family, mother, father, children, etc. Okay, killing one another, make war, etc. So that they wouldn't get this karma, but said we would get the karma. It was all planned out. You have free will, yes, I have free will. If I have not given free will, could not create lie because we had free will created by the cosmos. Okay. When Shiyama came, I don't know whether we had free will or not. But this year, he did not give us free will for a good cause or for good intentions. Instead, he had something up his sleeve. He had the intentions, he had an agenda when he gave us back the cosmos free will. But only react. So if I have not give free will, could not create, but only react. If you could only do what I tell you to do, then you could not create, but you only obey. Obedience is not creation, it's an act of subserviency, not an act of power. God is not subservient to anyone. And since you are part of God, you are by nature not subservient to anyone either. That's why when you are made to be subservient, you immediately revolt. It's against your very nature. It's a violation of who you are, the very core of your being. Teenagers know this more than anyone, correct? But what about those human beings who have done things with their free will? Yeah, they violate it and they abuse it. That has been very hurtful to others. There have been many people like that, and it's true that I could have stopped this. I did not stop it because the process of life itself is the expression of free will. Anything less than that is not life, but death. Even when the expression of free will does not serve the highest good, it must be allowed. Or freedom itself is a mockery. Even when the expression of free will does not serve the highest good, when someone violates and abuses free will, It must be allowed. Or freedom itself is a mockery. Because he already started the game, he cannot go back on his word. The word freedom and the word God are interchangeable. You cannot have one without one another, the other. For God to exist, freedom, for God to exist, freedom must exist. I think you did nonsense here. You did more harm than good. Because the species, as you say, it was not ready for this anarchy, this total free will anarchy. This harms more those whose DNA have been manipulated, didn't help. They are also free. They are also free. So the word freedom is the word of God. So the beauty of freedom, however, is that it can be expressed by all beings, not just a few. This means that the people of the earth are free to eliminate the experiences of sexual abuse and physical abuse from their collective experience forever. Yeah, when cut their dindgilindong, then they will stop. They are also free to eliminate other conditions of cruelty and misery that they now endure. How? That's the question this book will answer. Think diferente, né? Go for it. For intelligence's sake, just act based on what good you want to be. Now, that's the kind of dialogue we're going to find throughout the rest of this book. All of the lead questions, the question that start off a portion of the dialogue came from young people just like yourself. Some of the follow-up questions are questions that I asked because I felt that just asking the first question would have asked the follow-ups if they had the chance. To understand more fully how this conversation process works, it will help you to know that, as I've said, all of us are having conversation with God every day, and that includes you. You just may not have called them that. God is talking to all of us all the time. We are continually being communicated with by the universe. When he said God is talking to all of us all the time, we are continually being communicated with by the universe. What it means? It means that if it is not the outer saying that from his own mentality, who knows? There's a possibility that the outer owns ideas and own thought, right? But if it isn't or it wasn't, then that's mean what that this being talking to this outer here through this outer is not exactly a god but an alien. And then he refers to the cosmos, how we are able to talk with the cosmos and are alive as in beings that exist that we don't know, that controls many things around certain universes, not by definition here, not exactly here, but maybe other universes. And those beings may be called gods. Life is constantly telling life about life. Life is always sending us messages. True wisdom may be found in the transparency of a friend you meet on the street and the lyrics to the next song you hear on the radio, the words that confront you big as life on the billboard around the next corner, the voice that you hear whisper inside your head. Last you'll be called a schizophrenic or this book that just happened and come into your hands. Now substitute the word God for the words true wisdom in the above sentence C, and you will understand how your conversation with God works. God has never ever stopped inspiring the human race, And God inspires us by sending us messages, ideas, thoughts, song lyrics, words for a book, you name it. In my own life, God's conversations must often take the form of thoughts that fill my head, especially when I am asking for help for serious questions. And when I am willing to be quiet enough to hear the answer, God speaks to me in a voice that doesn't sound like anyone's voice in particular. It is what I have called a voiceless voice, something like the voice of your own thoughts. I don't know. I rather hold my feelings than I thought on my head. Now you must say, well, they are your only thoughts. What makes you think this is the voice of God? Exactly. That's a fair question. When I asked the God that question, here's the answer that I heard. Neil, if I was going to communicate with you, how else would I do it? Wouldn't putting thoughts into your head be one of the most effective ways? No, feelings. Feelings will be better. Feelings in your heart and solar plexus. When Aquinas had thoughts in his head, he was called a schizophrenic. About theology, once he said to have been imagined by God, inspired by God, when Amadeus Mozart had thoughts in his head about music, once he said to have been inspired by God, when Thomas Jefferson had thoughts in the head about freedom, once he said to have been inspired by God to write a declaration about one nation under God, how do you think that I communicate with people if it is not by putting thoughts in their head? Do you think that I show up at that those steps in a long white robe and hand them a scroll? Do you think I'd appear in a cloud of mist over their bed and boom my wisdom into the air? Would that be more believable to you? Is this how you have it? That's the more unbelievable something is, the more believable it is. I'll tell you this, I come to people in the way that is most believable. I do this for a very good reason. I want to be believed. Yet, even when you do not believe me, for most people, the most believable way for God to show up in their lives would be an apparition with me appearing in robes and a handing over a tablet. I have done those things, yes, but do you think I'm limited to those things? More often, much more often, I come to people in a much more natural way, as a much more integral part of life itself. This could be as a thought, as a feeling, or as an inspiration. Just as I am coming to you now through the feelings you are having, and the words you are hearing, and the paragraph that's come to you in this way. Those are the words that came, and that's how the process works. Now, it might sound good if I said that I ponder my questions for hours, meditation, and pray and remain in the stillness until I am brought to enlightenment and tremble with the energy of God flowing through my fingertips. But the truth is, I put it down the first thing that comes to my head. There's no addition, no changing, no toning down or fixing it up. It's just a matter of and hearing it and write it down. It's just like taking dictations. I've been doing this for 10 years now. Back then, ever since the circumstances of my life caused me to reach out to God and beg for help. And he helped because in a way the planet was going through transition. So they thought maybe it was a good occasion to show up. It's all planned already. Because back then in the 90s, they are already was preparing an event. So they call it the how to say, they speed up time when there's no more time and they once run against time, no time anyway. This latest book was written just for you, just for teenagers, not only because someone suggested it, but also because I've received hundreds of letters from teenagers all over the world telling me how impacted they were by the original Conversations with God books and loaded with additional questions. Some of the teenagers who asked those questions say that I could use their full identity and others ask me not to. So what I've done just to keep everything uniform is to use names and ages only and locations where they said it all right. And even the word anonymous when they say they wanted it their way. After 2 years of talking to young people like yourself and collecting questions, I asked a young person just like you to be my assistant and to put them all into categories so that I could approach them in some kind of sequence. In a few cases, I sent the response back to the teenagers asking the question to see if it brought up any reaction or further question from them. As I said, I also added some questions of my own that I thought the original questioners would have asked if they could have been here to keep the conversation going. They are also they are also questions that I wanted to ask on my own. I put those in here too. That's why I saw something as if it were his. And but back then I haven't read this part yet. So now I know, yeah, it was exactly from him. And so I mixed my voice with yours, and this way I created a dialogue. Sometimes the responses I received were directed right to me, and sometimes they were directed to the person asking the original question. I believe that some might also be directed right to you reading this book. It was very exciting for me to create this book, and I feel when you're reading it, there is a possible magic about to happen. The first thing that will occur is you see the questions and read the responses is that you will agree for response, disagree for response, fall somewhere in between, then will come the magic. This will be the moment when the responses cause you to notice that you think and how you feel will be placed in touch with your own wisdom within. That's the wonder and the magic of every good conversation. It's the purpose of all of your conversation with God. So that's all for this party now. Oh my God, wait a minute. I need to. Ah, oh, I need to pick up the mouse. Is very far from my reach. Oh my gosh, so painful.